And so you guys know that I like to do a lot of work around self-awareness and like how you can be the best version of yourself so that you can have not only healthy relationships with other people, but you have a healthy relationship with yourself. And so I was thinking about this topic for Self-Care Sunday, and if I had a dollar or probably even a penny for every time I've heard the biggest defense mechanism that shuts down communication, those words, I don't care, I would probably be rich, because I think that's one of those language that people have learned to use in order to first put up that wall or that barrier into communication and to shut it down. And so what I hear as a therapist is I hear that you really do care, but you don't know how to communicate it or show it. And so that goes back to trust issues, which in turn kind of starts from your attachment style in your childhood. First, I just want to say like the dangers of like saying like I don't care when you really do care is because it becomes that internal dialogue. And so it's like that incongruency where I talked about in another video where you're saying one thing but really feeling another. And so you're just having these incongruent feelings unless you really don't care about nothing, which I highly, highly doubt. This goes back to your attachment style. And so the topic that I wanted to talk about is stress, because everyone has stress. And I'm looking at this from the family dynamic through the family system, because every family, there's no perfect family, there's no perfect person. Every family will have stressors that will impact children in the family. It will impact the adults in the family, maybe even your family pets. People get a little uneasy when you start talking about the different attachment styles and things like that, because it's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do something wrong. There are situations and things that happen beyond your control. And so, of course, you want to be available to your children, responsive to your children, attentive to your children, because you want them to become healthy adults, because not only will this impact their relationships, it also determines how they will view their survival in the world. And so there are some problematic attachment styles that we see, happen in childhood that create these big behaviors. We don't want people to fear it. It's about preventive, and it's about knowing what to do and how to manage. Instead of reactive, be proactive. I want to talk about like stress in the family system, right? In the attachment styles, because again, stressors are some things that sometimes you can control, and then sometimes there are things that you can't control. Things that people may do, parents may do. And so that's why I like to keep it as a no judgment zone. We have to figure out like, how can we fix this stuff? How can we still live healthy lives despite these things that are happening? Because if we can understand it, we can understand how to help a person fix it. There's 4 types of attachment styles. There's secure, which is your parenting, you're responsive to your child, you're attentive to your child. The child knows, okay, when you leave for work, you're going to come back and pick me up because I can trust you. You give me food. If I'm crying, you try to figure out what's going on with me. Then there is like an anxious attachment. It's where, let's say, the caregiver leaves and the child is like boo-hoo crying. I'm talking about on a different level of just like missing your parent. And they're very clingy to mom. They don't want to leave mom's side because they may feel like mom may not be available to me, or dad may not be available to me, or that caregiver may not be available to me, so I need to stay here with them. I need that reassurance. And again, these are things that we take over into adulthood, into our relationships. And so then there is avoidant. And so with avoidant attachment style, the kid has learned that I cannot communicate with my caregiver because I don't want to burden them. They might be feeling like, they're going through their own stuff and I don't want to burden them with my stuff. They kind of learned to kind of hold back on their communication and don't let things bother them, and they get into that framework of I don't care, I'm gonna go out here and survive without, you know, my caregivers, without my parents, that type of thing. Not that they don't like their caregivers or their parents or anything like that, but it's just the way that situations may happen that may cause that child to shut down. And again, like I said, this is a no judgment zone. If you have multiple children, they're going to have multiple, maybe attachment styles for varying reasons or whatnot. The last style is disorganized attachment. And so what studies have shown with disorganized attachment, percentage of children that have disorganized attachment kind of develop like these psychopathology type of problem. You might see them becoming aggressive with their parents. You might see them having disregard. These kids are super self-reliant. They will do anything for survival. They might lie, they might steal, they'll get into trouble, and things like that, because sometimes, you know, because I'm not going to say every situation that I'm describing puts a child into that attachment style, but I'm just saying that this is an attachment style that could happen. So they don't have any type of secure attachment. And so with that, not developing like healthy, secure attachments, or an attachment that's considered organized, because disorganized in itself is kind of like, okay, we see a lot of like red flags in the disorganized attachments. So what are the takeaways that we've learned from this week's Self-Care Sunday? So the very first thing that I want to say that I'm taking away from Self-Care Sunday is this topic that I talk about a lot of the time is self-awareness. And I've been building my platform here talking about self-awareness. And with that in mind, I'm thinking about, well, I am going to change Self-Care Sunday to Self-Awareness Sunday, because that's the type of work that I like to do as a therapist. The second takeaway that I want you guys to take away from this is that this is a no judgment zone. It's a no judgment zone for parenting. It's a no judgment zone about your attachment style. You know, we all have stressors. Our family dynamics are ranges, you know. There's no perfect family. The third thing I want you to take away is that your attachment styles is related to how you get your needs met, right? It's related to the way that you survive in the world, how you relate to others, and how you get your needs met. And so, like I said, there are ways you can go back and fix it. And then lastly, I want to challenge you. I love to challenge people. I want to challenge you to stop saying, I don't care. If you're the type of person that uses that as a defense mechanism to shut down communication and say, I don't care, especially when you really do care because you don't know how to show that you care, I want to challenge you to start sharing your thoughts, feelings, and emotions with people, and not feeling like it's going to be a burden on other people if you do. I want you to do that. Lastly, I want you to also be mindful when people share their thoughts, feelings, and emotions with you. You have to be receptive, you know, to those thoughts, feelings, and emotions, right? More importantly is the boundaries that we create for ourselves. We have to be respectful and mindful of the boundaries that other people create for themselves, right? That's the part that people kind of struggle with. All right. So guys, as always, keep kicking it naturally. See you in a few. All right. Bye-bye.